So basically, with everything that you've talked about,
Right.
the ski R is basically about going through the process of everything that you've gone through, right? So when we're talking about solitude, which is the S of ski R, like, what is your perspective on that? Like, how do people bring that? How important is that in sort of your journey?
I think, at least for me, right? I think it's been being comfortable with silence. I think is an important part of that, because with that silence comes this ability, or at least framework, or perhaps maybe even better said, the conditions for the possibility that you can start to listen to yourself.
Yes.
And I think that's just what's so exciting on the one hand, but also so terrifying on the other hand. Because think about that, like when it's quiet, the thoughts start, right? And it starts ramping up. And that's where we start, the status questions come in. And did I do enough? Those kinds of things, right? And I think that part of that is being able to be comfortable with that silence and being able to sit with that in some capacity. I know that in my own, when I'm training clinicians, doctoral level clinicians, right? One of the things that I help really encourage them is to be comfortable in silence in their sessions with the clients.
Okay, so listen.
Right, so they can listen to the client, but also help the client listen to themselves as well, right? So I think that's the importance of the solitude piece is that you can access, or it's the conditions where you can access that quiet so that you can start to listen to yourself, because there's a lot of noise.
Yes, a lot of noise.
There's no lack of other people, entities, telling us what we need to be doing when we need to be doing it.
So I think we're only going to focus on the S today, because of timing. So and since solitude is something that's really,
I think that's really relevant in all of this conversation.
And it's easier. I mean, it's easier for some people more than others.
It's not easy to be quiet.
Yes.
And to ignore the noise. You know how people talk about meditation. Not easy to meditate.
Yeah. So how do you suggest that people start using solitude to listen to themselves? What are some of your suggestions?
Well, I mean, I think part of it has to do with just finding a place where you can access a kind of equilibrium, right? And this might, I work a lot with it. I don't have time, this, right?
Yeah.
And I always challenge folks. It's like, well, how much time do you spend on your phone, right? And if you could just borrow some of that time, right, you can find anyway. So that's my pushback.
Borrow time,
right? You can borrow time from your phone time,
that's
whatever.
Funny.
But the idea here is that it's being able to find or make time, right? Protect time.
Yeah.
No one's gonna say, hey, Omar,
you need some time.
You need some time. Here it is, right? Or Jesse, here's some time. Here it is, right? No one's going to do that. So you have to protect your own time, and that could be, that could be a vacation. It could be a day off, or it could be 5 minutes in the car in between work and picking up the kids.
Yeah, and a person that's beginning to find that solitude, and they are going to be bombarded with a plethora of thoughts. How do they manage that?
Right.
For the beginners, because that's one of the hardest things that to be able to do.
Well, you have another episode time to be able to embark on that.
I was going to say, how do you get rid of the noise?
But just a couple of tips, for them, so people could get started. Like,
good.
How to just be able to just handle that bombardment.
Give us a starter kit.
Yeah.
Starter kit. Yeah. So one way is, and this kind of goes back to the kind of the mindfulness piece, is focusing on your breath.
Okay.
Because the breath allows you to connect with your body. And one of the things that we oftentimes ignore is our bodies.
Yeah.
If we forget we have bodies before we're too late. And what I mean by that is, like, we're injured and something wrong with them, and then we have to address it in some way. So breathing, I think is probably the number one thing that you can do. Take deep breaths.
Yeah.
And then when you are sitting with that time being able to focus on your breath
Yeah.
and what it's like for you to breathe the air in through your nostrils, what it feels like to inflate your lungs, hold it, and then release it. What's it like for it to go through, your mouth or your nose or however you're exhaling it? It's your choice.
Yeah.
And just notice that. And if your mind starts to wander, that's fine.
Yeah.
You can always return to the breath.
Yeah. Now, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because when we defined the soul earlier today, we talked about the psyche and the breathing in.
Right.
So the soul encompasses that. So, well, we're going to end here. Jesse, this is your part.
Sadly, we have to come to an end, but I want you to know that I just did that. Breathed in and let it go. And I focused on that, and it felt really good.
Yeah. I mean,
it sounds silly. I know, but
I challenge folks, right, to, in their life, when they find themselves in a situation that's difficult, breathe.
Breathe.
Yeah. That's the
and see how
way.
it changes.
Yeah.
And if it hasn't changed, breathe again.
Yes.